Good Saturday night, everybody. Welcome to the Pitt Game Day post-game. So, I'm Mason Sapesky, your host here with you, and wow, I never thought it would get this bad. Out of all the ugly of this season, today was the ugliest. It would be a close call if you would ask somebody, and you'd probably get, if you asked 50 different Pitt football fans what was the worst game of this season, you'd probably get a lot of different responses. Some people would say Cincinnati, and I think that's a valid argument. A lot of people would say West Virginia, and that's a fair argument too. I think that's a very fair argument. You might get one person that says North Carolina. That's not a fair argument. That is definitely not a good one to pick. You might get like 2 or 3 that say Virginia Tech. I could see that, but it's definitely not what I would consider the worst after how they look today in Boston. You would get a lot of people that say Wake Forest, and I can see that. The refs were trash or garbage in that game, and I definitely can see you saying that. Probably a lot of Notre Dame or people say Notre Dame. That was ugly. Very few would say Florida State. I definitely wouldn't. But I think the one that most people should say was the ugliest game of the year. And I would say it was the ugliest game of the year. And it put me truly at a breaking point. Was today. The Pitt Panthers football team lost by a final score of 28-13 at Yankee Stadium in New York City to the Syracuse Orange. Syracuse had not won a game since September 23rd. Syracuse had not won a game in ACC play this year. Syracuse ran the same Wildcat play like 500 million times. Syracuse had a tight end playing quarterback at some points in the game. Sorry about that. I just had to take care of something. Everything's all good. But nonetheless, Syracuse did some really weird things. Yet they still found a way. And they blew us out. And we were up 13-7, I think, at halftime. Second half collapse. I just want to share my thoughts because I truly think this was the worst game. So we can get out, and I can do this right now on paper for you guys. Sorry, my face is so blown up. But we're going to make a graph here. Because I've done so much of these in college. Since this is college, why not make another one? We're going to do a scale of 1 to 10. Satisfaction level. 10 being the highest. 1 being the absolute lowest. You looked like garbage. So, yeah. And we're going to go through each game and put a set and give it a score. And then we're going to draw a graph. And we are going to see how Pitt football truly has done this year. With my satisfaction. And don't get me wrong, my satisfaction is not the only measure, but I think I speak for Pitt fans as a whole, or somewhat, because I truly believe that this football team is not very good, and a lot of people do. So we're going to do a satisfaction scale, and we'll do this for the last 2 games as well. As I finish writing. And depending on how the Steelers look tomorrow, we could do one for them too. Okay, first game, Wofford Terriers, 7. We beat a very bad team by the amount we should have beat them by, and it was not the most exciting of games. We won 45-7, but who cares? It's against an 0-8 FCS team, and things weren't very good. Cincinnati, I'd give it a 4. Like the fight late, we didn't quit. We were down big, but we still did not quit. We found a way to score twice in the fourth quarter, make it a game, but just couldn't close it out. WVU, I'd give that a solid 2. WVU is a solid 2. Phil Jerkovic looked horrible. The offense looked horrible, and we made too many mistakes. North Carolina, I would say back up to a 4. We may have lost, but we showed signs of looking good. At Virginia Tech, give that a 2. Terrible, terrible, terrible. Should have never lost to them, but kind of ugly. Louisville, I would give that a 10. Everything's looking good. Looks like Christian Valu's the guy. Pitt found their quarterback. Everything's all good. Great day. At Wake Forest, would give that a 4. We may have lost, but we didn't lose because we did anything. We lost because of some stupid, dumb call. So give that a 4. At Notre Dame, give that a 2. Yes, it was bad. Yes, it was ugly, but at least we played. It was one of the best teams in the country, so not much of a surprise. Florida State, I would actually give that a 5. We played them pretty well, being what we are compared to what they are. Pretty good. At Syracuse, this is the first time I would give Pitt a 1 all season long. So this is what the final graph looks like. My satisfaction graph. Weird, to say the least. You noticed, not even after Cincy, not even after West Virginia, not even after Notre Dame, I didn't even give this team a 1. Today I did. And here's why. Number 1, you cannot turn the ball over 4 times. If you have a turnover differential of 4, you turn it over 4 times, you're never going to win that way. We had all the momentum going. We're up 13-7. We do a stupid jet sweep style play. It was a horrible handoff. Valu puts it in his chest terribly. Syracuse gets the ball back. Syracuse scores a touchdown. It's 14-13. Then we just continue to screw up time and time again. Our rush defense was awful today. But the one time our defense did something special, held them on 4th and goal. First and goal, they didn't get it. 2nd and goal, Syracuse didn't get it. 3rd and goal, they didn't get it. 4th and goal, they didn't get it. Pitt gets the ball back. 2 plays later, pick 6. Christian Valu throws a pick 6. 21-13 Syracuse. There was at least one more turnover, maybe 2. Nate Yarnell time. It's Nate Yarnell season. Doesn't look much better. In fact, he didn't even know what to do with a play snap, I read on Twitter. Or X or whatever it's called. Bottom line is this. This roster is talented. Let's name some players on this roster that have shown talent at some point during their collegiate careers. I'm going to start with a controversial one. Phil Jerkovic. He was recruited by Notre Dame. Obviously, he's talented. And he had a good year at Boston College one year. Obviously, the kid is talented. It just didn't work out. Christian Valu, recruited by Penn State James Franklin, who's an expert at recruiting, who recruited Will Levis, who recruited Sean Clifford, who recruited Saquon Barkley, who recruited this one, Micah Parsons, that one. I don't care who else he recruited. He recruited Christian Valu, and you know who else recruited Christian Valu? Is a guy named Dabo Swinney. So you're being recruited by 2 of the most top recruiters in college football. The kid is talented, and we saw that talent on full display against Louisville. Don't blame him. Don't blame Phil. Sibo Fleminster is talented. Rodney Hammond Jr. is talented. Bengali Kamara, MJ Devonshire, Bum Memes, Clinton Mumfield, Gavin Bartholomew, who has barely gotten involved in this offense all season long. I know our line is banged up. Losing Matt Clavis, or however you pronounce it, was a big deal. However, this is enough. Seriously. I mean, 2-8. I'm going to pick a different sport because I know it's going to sound completely whacked, completely out of line, but if you're an MLB fan, and I'm just comparing the sports because this team was also really bad. If you're an MLB fan, you obviously know the Oakland Athletics were garbage this year. They have a garbage owner who trades all the star players away and wants to move the team out of Oakland. Let's look at the Oakland Athletics win percentage. Because the Oakland Athletics this year were labeled by ESPN or all these other sports people as the laughingstock of sports in 2023. And don't get me wrong, they were really bad in their respective sport. They were leading the Pirates, I remember, one game 4-2. They lost the game 5-4. Funny thing is, I saw them beat the World Series champion Texas Rangers when I went out there to see them play a game. But anyway, though, let's look at their record from this past season. And here's what we're going to do. We're going to do win percentages. And they're in a rebuild, so, by the way, that's another thing to point out. They're in a rebuild, so they expected this. So, the Oakland Athletics won 50 out of 162 games. So, let's do 50 divided by 162. 31% of their games they won this year. Pitt will be lucky. The Pitt football team will be lucky to win 25% of theirs. So we had put college sports, put pro sports, put everything together. When you look at all my favorite sports, college football, college basketball, MLB, NHL, NFL, NBA, put that all together and put it in perspective. This Pitt football team will have a worse winning percentage this year than the laughingstock of the whole sports world in the Oakland Athletics. We are the laughingstock of college football. Purdue won today. Michigan State won last week. It is hard to find a legitimate program that is not bowl eligible this year. Let's look, because I created a Microsoft Seats or whatever it's called. Let's look at who's not going bowling this year. Michigan State, 3-7, one game better than Pitt. Colorado is probably not going bowling, but they're heading in the right direction under Deion Sanders. Virginia, just as bad as we are. Vanderbilt, just as bad as we are, but they expected that, and they're in a tough conference, and they're kind of picky what they're missing, so not surprising. Baylor, 3-7, still one game better than us. Indiana, 3-7, still one game better than us. Arkansas, 3-7, still one game better than us. And I'm going to say this, but this football team is pathetic. This has just become more of a circus. The players... I listened to Pat Narduzzi just now on the postgame show. He said that he thought they fought the whole game. I'll tell you one thing. They did not. I don't believe they fought the whole game. I think they've given up. I don't think they care. And it's unfortunate that I'm saying this. And I'm so mad and upset that irate that I'm saying this about my football team. This hurts. I've been pretty lenient and laid back. I don't want to put myself in a foot. I don't want to stab myself in the foot by saying something stupid that I'll come back and regret. But you know what? Right now, I don't care about what people are thinking. I'm going to flat out say this. For the 2024 season, Pitt needs a new offensive coordinator. I've been, not saying this before. I've been, not saying this a lot. I know I haven't called for Cignetti's firing until now, but it's time. I truly care about the best of this program. I truly do. As for Narduzzi, I have opinions, but I'm certainly not going to say them. I'm very thankful for Pat Narduzzi. I will say that. He took this team to the ACC championship. He won us an ACC championship. He took us to the New Year's Six. He won us the Sun Bowl last year. He's made a lot of sacrifices for this program. He's had many great accomplishments at this program and in college football. And I respect him a lot. He is still a very good college football coach. I'm very upset with him right now. I'm a little upset with Heather Lyke right now. I don't know. I can't say a whole lot because of future endeavors or goals of mine. And I'm not going to. I truly don't know what's going to happen. This team's a joke. I hate to be this critical. I'm sorry that I'm being this critical. But I truly do care. I mean, it's tough seeing all these other... I know Penn State lost, took a big hit. I know WVU's probably going to lose tonight to Oklahoma. Took a little hit. But look at all these schools that are bowl eligible or nearly bowl eligible. And look at Pitt. This is pathetic. Nobody cares anymore. I respect Narduzzi a lot. The one thing, though, he said, and this is not what happened 2 weeks ago against Notre Dame. After the 2021 season, the one thing that upset me that he said is, I was upset that and these are two comments, one after 2021 by Narduzzi that was ridiculous, and one after 2022 that was made by Heather Lyke that's even more ridiculous now. 2020, we're going to start with 2021 after the Pete's Bowl is over. We lost to Michigan State, blah, blah, blah. ACC champions, though. So, yeah. Narduzzi says, I'm disappointed because I feel we threw the ball a little too much. Mark Whipple left that year to join Nebraska. Mark Whipple is now unemployed. Not because Mark Whipple is bad. Because Scott Frost ruined Nebraska football. And now Matt Rule is slowly bringing it up. Like they say, Rome wasn't built in a day, so you got to give Matt Rule time to build up Nebraska football. Understandably so. He's in a tough conference. But let's look at his predecessor, Scott Frost. Very good coach, and he should not be unemployed right now, nor should Mark Whipple be. And it was a joke that Pat Narduzzi said, we threw the ball too much. You had Kenny freaking Pickett as your quarterback. That was probably one of the dumbest comments I've read or heard in my life. Look how clutch Kenny Pickett has been for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Walked off Vegas last year on Christmas Eve for Franco Harris. Late great Franco Harris looking down proudly. Walked off the Titans. Walked off the Ravens. This kid has a high football IQ. Let him throw the ball as many times as he wants. That's what I have to say about that. And I heard this on 93.7 The Fan, so I give all credit to them for this. And this was the 2022 comment. The announcers, when I was driving to school the other day, said, I can't wait for Heather's end-of-season press conference, referring to athletic director Heather Lyke. Because she said after last year, and last year was 9-4, she was slightly disappointed in the season. Well, if you're slightly disappointed in this season, what's the word in last season? What's the word to describe this season? Angry, furious, very disappointed, upset? I don't know. And she's done a fabulous job with Pitt. But who knows if she'll be here next year because she's in the running for Ohio State athletic director, which would be a big thing for her. That's one of the best jobs in the nation. So, but she's done great. And don't get me wrong, she needs to stay. And I have faith in her, but she needs to do something. Bottom line, she needs to do something. So he brought the basketball team back. The volleyball team's good. Both soccer teams are pretty good. She's doing her job, and she's doing it very well. However, I remember Pitt last year hosted the women's gymnastics regionals. Heather Lyke, right after those regionals, fired the women's gymnastics coach. And the press release said, after watching the women's gymnastics regionals here at, I don't know if it was Peterson Event Center, I think it was, but I'm not certain, or Fitzgerald Fieldhouse, I realized watching these gymnastics programs, our program isn't where it needs to be. Therefore, she made the decision to part ways with the head gymnastics coach. So here's my suggestion for Heather Lyke. This would be an amazing way for her to spend the holidays. Go out to Pasadena. Go to New Orleans. Go to Atlanta. Go to Miami. Go to Dallas. Or go to Phoenix. Preferably Pasadena or New Orleans. But one of those 6 games she needs to attend. Heck, I'll buy her tickets as a Christmas present to one of those games. She needs to go to a New Year's Six bowl game. And I am not saying fire Narduzzi. I am not saying that at all. So don't go telling anybody I'm saying that, because I am not. But she needs to go to either a New Year's Six game or a playoff game, reflect on this season, and realize that Pitt football is better than what they are right now. The other thing, and this is not about Pat Narduzzi at all. It's not about Pat Narduzzi at all. And if you say it is, I will just say flat out, I was stunned and I was surprised, and I thought it was a terrible idea when the Denver Broncos extended Russell Wilson and the Cleveland Browns extended Deshaun Watson. I was not the happiest when they extended Narduzzi for 8 years and $90 million. I also did not think it was a wise idea for Penn State to extend James Franklin, give him the big contract they did. Look at the state of Penn State football right now. Look at Michigan. Michigan all week was harassed. They were ruined. They were destroyed by the national media. And they were just flat out like the villain. And then when they were at the Detroit airport, boarding an airplane to go to Happy Valley, the Big Ten commissioner comes out and suspends Jim Harbaugh for the game this weekend. They appoint the offensive coordinator and interim head coach. He absolutely went into Happy Valley against a good Penn State team and annihilated them. Now Penn Staters are calling, some Penn Staters, not all, but a select group of Penn State fans are calling for James Franklin's departure. You can't really, because his buyout's too high. Same thing with Pitt. If any coach C wasn't crazy about and C did not want to keep them, the buyout is too high. People need to think about this stuff before these massive contracts are handed out. Not just you, Heather Lyke, not just you, whoever the Penn State athletic director is. I'm an idiot for not even knowing their name. Not just you, George Patton, Broncos GM. Not just you, Andrew Berry, Browns GM. But learn a lesson from this. Big contracts are not the way to go. This is not baseball where it's a spending marathon. There are consequences for these kind of decisions. Let's look back to 2021. And once again, I want to close this part of the show by saying I'm not calling for the firing of Pat Narduzzi. Yet. And I probably never will, for personal reasons. And you might say I'm part of the problem too. It's just, I have big goals in my life, and I don't want to get them ruined. I'm going to stay quiet, but someday I will open my mouth. That day is not today. But anyway, I will now move on to the next segment of my program. In 2021, and I always mention this to you guys, we're going to pull out some Post-its because we're going to do more writing stuff. Let's draw a map. I'm going to draw the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, the state of Ohio, and I'm not the best at drawing things. You guys probably know this. I am not an artist at all. I'm a sports fan. And the state of Michigan. Here's your peninsula, Michigan. On a scale of 1 to 10, please tell me this is the worst drawing ever you've seen of Pennsylvania, Ohio, and Michigan. So, I don't know what's worse, the Pitt football team or this drawing of Pennsylvania, Ohio, and Michigan. Comment below which one you think's worse. But you have Pitt here on this map. You have the University of Cincinnati, who we lost to earlier this year, on this map. In this corner. And then you have Michigan State University up top. If you connect the dots, you get a Midwestern triangle. And I know Pitt's not considered Midwest, but I'm calling it Midwest just for the purpose of this. You get a nice Midwestern triangle. Kind of looks like the Michigan State logo now if you look at this S here. But anyway, the reason I bring this up, and I've brought this up on my other ones, is because in 2021, these teams were like a combined 30 and 2, or 30 and 4. Michigan was 10 and 2. Pitt was 11 and 2. Or Michigan State was 11 and 2. Pitt was 11 and 2. Cincinnati was 12 and 0. Right now, all three of these teams are going to be bowl ineligible. Michigan State's going to fall to 3 and 7 once they lose to Ohio State tonight. Pitt's going to fall to 2. Pitt fell to 2-name. Cincinnati's going to be 3 and 7 or 2-name. Let's talk about some teams that were bowl ineligible in 2021. Florida State, Washington, Texas, and USC. 3 out of those 4 programs are in the running for the college football playoff. Only 2 of them changed head coaches. Washington and USC. Florida State changed theirs going into 2020. He's done an amazing job. Mike Norvell, done an amazing job. Kellen DeBoer, done an amazing job. Lincoln Riley has done a good job, but not an amazing job. Steve Sarkisian has done good and getting better. So maybe changes do. And don't forget, TCU made the national championship last year in Sonny Dykes' first year. I don't think any of those schools gave their coaches massive contracts like this. For this reason. It's important to look at what some of these schools did and think about how you could replicate it. Right now, we're still, as I throw this away, still stuck in that Midwestern triangle. There is a path out of this, and it all starts with parting ways with Frank Cincinnati Jr. And we will talk, once it happens, about potential OC candidates then. But here's what I want to say for the last 2 games. Christian Valu's not the guy. It's probably best for everybody that he transfers after this year. Dracovic is going to get a degree and get a real normal job. Thankfully for him. Sad to see his career end, though, like this. That's sad. See what Nate Yarnell has these last 2 games against Boston College and Duke. If he's not the guy, be ready to start Julian Duggar next year. He's done at Penn Hills. Get him ready. Get him the chance. It's his show. Maybe bring another QB in for the portal as a backup if Yarnell's not the guy. That's all I have to say there. And hopefully this new offensive coordinator can bring Julian Duggar to his full potential. After that, we'll see. That's all I'm going to say for now. This loss really hurt. This loss was awful. This loss was sickening. I had a stomach ache earlier tonight because of this loss. I don't know. This team truly put me at a breaking point tonight. Disappointed is an understatement. Something needs to change. And change fast. Because 2024 can't be like this. I don't know. The next game's Thursday night, 7 o'clock p.m., senior night against the Boston College Eagles. Last home game of the year. Boston College lost bad today to Virginia Tech, so it'll be interesting to see what happens then. Signetti and Jurkovic play what is likely to be both of their final home games against their old team, so definitely it'll be fun. So I'll enjoy that. So that's all I have for you guys tonight. Hopefully you enjoy this week. I'll see you back Thursday. Have a good one. Stay safe. Happy Veterans Day. Pray for Israel. And as always, peace. See you guys next week.